Tonight, positive feedback from locals in response to the possible construction of a pumped hydro power plant in Port Augusta, and the push for a women's Aussie Rules footy league to be started on the Eyre Peninsula.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. Port Augusta could soon be home to a pumped hydro power plant after yet another company presented its plans to the community. It says the Goat Hill project, proposed for land 12 kilometres west of town, has been met with a lot of local interest.
What looks like a stretch of arid outback land to most could soon be another renewable energy hub for South Australia. Altura Group and Delta Electricity are proposing a 250 megawatt pumped hydro power plant. With posters and engineers on hand, the group held an open day at Port Augusta's Institute Theatre to show locals their plans.
What we're seeing is deployment of a lot of renewable energy, and of course that generation is intermittent. So we're looking for a technology that complements that, provides the generation at the time when there's a need, when there's high demand and the renewables aren't generating.
The companies say they've been co-developing the Goat Hill project for over a year, saying Hilly Lincoln Gap and Port Augusta's existing energy infrastructure made the region an easy choice.
Particularly with the loss of baseload capacity in South Australia and seeing a need there. And obviously this area is attracting quite a bit of attention, so we are not the only project.
Altura Group's director says the project garnered interest throughout the day, particularly around future job growth.
So permanently we're looking up to 15 jobs, but during the construction phase there'll be quite a few more, so about 30-month construction timetable with about up to 250 jobs.
The two dams will use water from an SA Water pipeline and will be able to generate power at night when wind and solar can't.
And we're engaging with contractors right now, so we're looking to have the project ready to take a financial decision around the middle of next year.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Students from farming communities across the region are taking part in a new apprenticeship course aimed at tackling a shortfall in automotive apprentices. Course organisers say the new local setup saves time, money and stress for participants.
The agriculture business and regional towns are reliant on automotive machinery, but a lack of students taking up an apprenticeship in the industry has locals concerned.
The old basic, spanner and hammer sort of apprenticeships are going to be long gone, and we're going to have to address what's just around the corner.
A small farm at Cleve is fighting back though. Experts in Adelaide are travelling to Sims Farm to train apprentices in the automotive trade. Local kids from Cert 1 to Cert 3 are receiving a hands-on experience in their local community.
A lot of it is surrounding light vehicle and agricultural machinery.
She also says without the training, the future of the agricultural industry would be under threat.
We've got lots of agricultural machinery, automotive, mechanical places, but we need to train the people in that.
In the past, students were forced to travel to Adelaide for an experience like this.
Provides much more security for them, and they obviously feel much happier about not having to be away from home.
And it's already getting the thumbs up from keen participants.
They've got training aids that represent agriculture and the trade I'm in.
It's pretty good, pretty cruisy, all the instructors are great and the learning's excellent.
In Cleve, John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
The National Special Olympics will be held in Adelaide next year, and a few lucky athletes from Port Pirie have been chosen to represent South Australia. They'll be competing against participants from across the country in a tough 10-pin bowling competition.
5 of Port Pirie's best athletes are heading to Adelaide.
Representing South Australia, and this year we've been lucky to have the National Games come to Adelaide.
They'll make up a team of 30 competitors chosen from across the state, taking part in a 10-pin bowling tournament. Competing across 3 days in singles, doubles and team events, the athletes are hoping to strike gold or spare a silver.
To win a gold medal.
I'll tell you what, you need your earplugs when you're downtown. The squealing and the enjoyment, no, it's really enjoyable to watch.
Making sure their skills are up to scratch for the big competition, they'll be training a few times a week. Coach Mark Hutchinson says there's a few tricks to striking the perfect score. Missing a spare can cost the athletes up to 20 pins in just 2 frames.
Give them a hand with the way they're supposed to release the ball and control themselves and how to pick up the spares. That's the main part of the game, really.
And Kelly's looking forward to competing in the national event, which kicks off in April next year.
Yeah, do it for me. No one else.
Really makes you feel good that we're doing something good down here.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Women on the Eyre Peninsula could soon be playing Aussie rules as Port Lincoln sets its eyes on launching its own female-only football league. The Sandful is backing the 9-a-side Women's League in hopes of creating a pathway for future football stars.
Brooklyn George has always dreamed of playing footy, but the last 5 years the skillful teenager has been forced to play with the boys. Her passion has forced her to Adelaide just to kick a goal, but next year the 15-year-old could be facing off against her peers at home in Port Lincoln.
I do prefer playing with the girls, so instead of having to go over there every couple of weeks to play in their leagues over there, I can just stay home and it should be amazing.
It seems she's not alone.
There's girls in Port Lincoln that want to play, they just don't have the confidence, so I think it's a good thing.
A visit from the Crows Women's Premiership players during the year helped boost local support to form a committee and create links with the Sandful.
These girls now have a future pathway from grassroots all the way up to 18, and then they can actually go and progress into the AFL.
It's hoped the 9-a-side league will offer a stepping stone to bigger opportunities.
We get the girls interested, get a lot of different teams going, so there's a really healthy competition with the limited numbers, so then we can start building.
The league won't be exclusive to Port Lincoln though. The community's already fielding interest further afield. Places like Tumby Bay and Cleve are putting their hands up to take part.
Those smaller towns probably don't have the numbers to be able to have their own league, so to be able to come down here and just join in and all be together, it would be amazing.
The competition is now signing up girls who are interested. Brooklyn's name is the first on the list, and the dream is still very much alive.
Hopefully AFL Women's, but I'm not going to get too ahead of myself.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Stay with us. In the news ahead, the local primary school awarded for its Anzac Day commemorations. That story next. Police are investigating a string of thefts at the North Shield Cemetery in Port Lincoln. Officers have received 3 reports of teddy bears, flowers and other tributes being stolen from a number of gravesites over the past few days. Anyone with information is asked to come forward. Peter Teakle Wines has released its first drop since taking over the former Port Lincoln Delacolleen estate. In a collaboration between 2 wineries from our region, the venture is set to give locals a taste of what's to come.
Peter Teakle has been involved in the wine industry for most of his life. For 20 years, he operated a vineyard and found success through his wine labelling company. Today, nearly 2 years on since purchasing the former Delacolleen estate, Peter can finally raise his own glass.
People can get a taste of what we're aiming for.
The vineyard has been renamed Peter Teakle Wines and is forming a new lease on life since the passing of its former owner. But the estate still holds cherished memories of the past through the grapevine.
As it turned out, the Riesling is sensational. It'll win a gold medal for sure.
While the fruit is still developing, Mr. Teakle has collaborated with Clare Winery, O'Leary Walker, to produce his first drop from the new venture.
It means a lot to put your name behind a product, and I'm very proud of the wines, and I think everybody will enjoy them.
The vintage includes 2 reds and 2 whites, and will hit restaurants and retailers in Port Lincoln from today.
If it's got Peter Teakle on it, it's going to be very good.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Crystal Brook Primary School has been recognised nationally for its creative approach to commemorating Anzac Day and the area's local war history. Today, the students involved in the school's Anzac Committee were awarded for their hard work.
3 years in the making. Students at Crystal Brook Primary took out 2 prizes in the 2017 Anzac Day School Awards.
We won state, which is fantastic. We also won that in 2013 as well. And this year we were very proud because we won a special category which was national wide, and that was the best veteran and community involvement.
So I get quite emotional about this today. See this school win this award twice, and 2 awards today, it really gets to you. We feel so proud.
The Anzac Committee spent their lunchtimes researching Crystal Brook's war history before they built the now award-winning memorial path.
We come up with a list of the fallen for World War I, and that was 31 young men who never returned home.
This path is really special to me because we need to remember the soldiers that have fallen and fought for our country, and my grandpa is on here.
The project helping students to gain a deeper understanding of the significance of war history.
We need to make sure we remember them, and it takes a community, not just a school, to do that, so lest we forget.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Australia's National Portrait Gallery is set to celebrate a major milestone, and the Silver City has jumped in on the festivities. The Broken Hill Regional Art Gallery is exhibiting a collection of some famous faces showing some skin.
We got two exhibition rooms with portrait pictures in them, with varying degrees of undress. Some are fully undressed, but you don't see the whole person nude, they're just in different poses. Some very famous people, or quite a few famous people actually.
Well, the Portrait Gallery is expecting the 1 millionth person to visit its exhibitions, which just so happens to be when the collection is in town. Royal Lifesaving is urging parents not to be complacent when children are around water this summer. Over the past 15 years, over 400 children under the age of 5 have died as a result of drowning.
Water is only safe when you are watching.
So the message is all around keeping watch of kids, supervising them really closely when you're around the back pool, make sure your fence is secure and your gate is secure.
Nearly 500 kids aged 5 and under have drowned over the past 15 years. Half of those tragedies occurred in home pools or spas, and it seems it doesn't take long for children to get away from adults. In the time it takes to check an email on your phone or answer a knock at the door, that's enough time for your child to wander away. For every toddler drowning death, around 10 children are admitted to hospital as a result of non-fatal drowning. And while they survive, they're often left with lifelong disabilities.
So it's really about constant adult supervision and giving them your full attention when they're around the backyard area.
Royal Lifesaving says it's important for parents to brush up on their CPR skills, just in case the worst happens. They also say to have fun and enjoy summer in pools, lakes and rivers, but be safe. Patrick Roinke, Southern Cross News.
After the break, the last-minute touches on a Port Augusta singing performance. The details next. Residents across Broken Hill and the Far West region are being encouraged to nominate for the New South Wales Women of the Year Awards. The event recognises those who've gone above and beyond for the local community. There are several categories for the 2018 event. Nominations can be made online. They close mid-December. Well, preparations are underway for what's been labelled Port Augusta's biggest local music event. Members from the town's music club have conducted one of their final practices before their show this weekend.
It used to be part of the town's music shop.
It's got a bit of history about it. I used to come here from Cooperpedy and buy musical instruments and stuff, and you get to know a few other people around the place by coming here.
And from the outside, it looks like an unsuspecting spare room.
The gear's here, we just walk in and bring our instruments and plug in, and we usually practice once a week or once or twice a week.
But here, in what Port Augusta Music Club members call the Music Den, they're putting the finishing touches to their set ahead of Saturday night's Get Back to Oz Music show.
Come back again. I'm just crazy about you, baby. Back to the 70s, back to the movies. We always have a theme. It's all local, people putting input in, everything from ukuleles right through to rock and roll, and it's always a great night.
The Music Club president says the show to be held at the Port Augusta Barracks will feature a range of local music from a ukulele group to solo artists, and they're expecting quite the crowd.
It's an event that gets a lot of people from Port Augusta together, especially in the music area.
Proceeds from the event will be donated to a local cause. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Time to see what our experts are thinking this week in the sporting world. Here's Cricket Tips.
Yeah, g'day and welcome to this week's round of Cricket Tips for Port Augusta. This week we see South Augusta take on West Augusta at ETSA. South right now are cruising along very good, and I think they should beat West Augusta. The other match sees Corn take on Central Stirling at Corn. Central Stirling have been cruising along pretty good as well, while Quorn have not won a match as yet. Quorn are to beat in Quorn, but I don't think they'll beat Central Stirling. So there are my two winners, South Augusta and Central Stirling.
Hello and welcome to round 6 of Port Pirie cricket. We start with Props up against Wandera at the Globe Oval on Saturday. Props remain undefeated and have bowled teams out in every match this season. Wandera's only loss this season came at the hands of Props when they were bowled out for just 88. I'm tipping Props to continue their win and run. The other match sees Southport taking on Solly North at the Senate Road Complex also on Saturday. Solly North have just the one win so far, with Southport still looking for their first win of the season. Southport continue to field a young side, with young gun Mitchell Fuss leading the way. Solly North have struggled for runs this year and need their top order to stand up. I'm tipping Solly North.
Saturday afternoon sees Rapina Roos and South Wailer Demons play at Memorial Oval. For Rapina, the brothers Matt and Braden Wolford have been in good form for the early part of the season. For South Wailer, we have Chris Davies with good form with the bat, and we have Pat McCarthy with bat and ball. Tip for the weekend, an upset with South Wailer getting their first win. Sunday afternoon sees Central Wailer play North Wailer at Memorial Oval. Central Wailer's Josh Ackland been in excellent form with the bat, scoring over 100 runs without being dismissed as yet. North Wailer needs Sam Lewis and Dave Miller to get early inroads in the top order, and will need Ashwin Srikanth to continue his form with the bat and the gloves. My tip, Central Wailer to take the chocolates.
Welcome to Port Lincoln Cricket Tips. We kick things off at Centenary Oval where Todd River are taking on Southern Air South. I wouldn't be surprised if Todd River can get an upset here, but SES have been the dominant team all year and should get the win. In the next game, we've got Waybacks taking on Tasmans at Ravendale Oval. Tasmans are looking for their second win and should get it. In the last game for the round, we've got Lincoln South taking on Charlton at Poole Oval. This should be a comfortable win for Charlton, and I'm tipping them to win this one.
Broken Hill cricket moves into 40 over mode this weekend with top side Centrals taking on West at the Jubilee Oval. Looks to be a very entertaining game. Central's in great form to start the season off, and I think there's plenty of runs in this game. Central's will start favourites. Should be a reasonably close game, but I think Central's batting looks pretty powerful and that may get them over the line. Another entertaining game at the Alma Oval with North taking on South. Very competitive game in the 2020 game between these two sides early in the season, and I think this will be the same. Both sides have struggled for runs this season, so I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. I'll have to select North as they've had record against South over the last couple of seasons has been pretty good, but don't be surprised if the Southerners get up and cause an upset.
Good luck to everyone. Well, stay with us. After the break, we'll have all the local weather details. Welcome back to the weather now. The warm weather continued across the region today. It hit 35 in Port Augusta. We reached 33 in Whyalla, a cooler 27 in Port Lincoln today, 34 out top in Port Pirie. On the satellite, cloud over eastern parts of South Australia near a low-pressure trough is causing a few storms around the northeast border and light patchy rain inland. On the Gulf waters, winds will be southeasterly between 10 and 15 knots, seas up to a metre with a south-southwesterly swell. Days are certainly getting longer, the sunrise just after 10 past 6, sunset just before 8. A cloudy day across the state tomorrow, still very warm though, 36 in Port Augusta, 34 for Whyalla and Coffin Bay as well as Broken Hill. Our hottest centre though will be Woodner, a top of 37 degrees. Looking ahead, the skies will clear over the weekend in Port Lincoln, Cleve and Woodner before some showers set in on Tuesday, temps creeping into the 30s. A similar story further up the Gulf in Whyalla too, 33 on Monday before some rain on Tuesday, 36 for Port Augusta to start the week, the same for Kadina too. And finally, Port Pirie will see the skies clear slightly on Monday before showers set in on Tuesday with a top of 34, a similar story in Clare, but clear skies with a top of 34 to start the week in Broken Hill. And that's Southern Cross News for the working week. Thanks for your company. I'll have updates later and we'll be back on Monday. Hope you can join us then. Good night.